Hello, 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 and welcome to Unity of Tacoma. We're grateful that you're here with us today. And this is the third Sunday in Advent. Our theme is love. Um, Thank you for joining us. And may your heart be filled with love, joy, and peace of the season. And as before we get started into the service, we're going to have Victoria talk about some of the announcements. Victoria. So I'm not sure if she is available. So I'm just going to say that there's some announcements. Be sure to check the Facebook page for the upcoming service on the 21st. We'll have the morning service, the fourth Sunday of Advent. And then there'll also be another service that evening. So the information for that is going to be on Facebook. So we're going to move into this further into the service then. So let's start with our prayer for protection. Please join me with me as we read together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. So love isn't easy. Love is easy when it's new and fun, or when everyone wants the same thing and everyone gets along. But unconditional love is tough and starts as soon as someone annoys us or disappoints us. And today, I'm going to lead us through a journey down the dirty spiritual practice of unconditional love. So as we look at how to integrate that into our lives, I hope to show how our relationships and our communities will become stronger and healthier. I have some sacred and inspirational readings that I'd like to do today. The first one's from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5. You have heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of our God in heaven. God causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Aren't even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even atheists do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. Martin Luther King says that returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Hate multiplies hate, violence multiplies violence, and toughness multiplies toughness in a descending spiral of destruction. So when Jesus says, love your enemies, he is setting forth a profound and ultimately inescapable admonition. In 1 John 4, the author says, Beloved, let us love one another, because love is from God, and everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. The last one I pulled from your Unity devotional, your Advent devotional. Unity co-founder Myrtle Fillmore taught us that love is the great harmonizer, a force that can heal, restore, and unite. She believed that love was the power or has the power to bring us into harmony with ourselves as well as others. And where love is present, negativity and discord dissolve. I'm going to let you soak that in for a second. Oh my gosh. I think my parents are amazing, Dave and Gail. They've been together. They've been together for 68 years, and you can see a couple pictures of them as older, but they're also, my dad is there holding his youngest grandchild. And the one with my mom, that's with my sister and her son, and then their daughter. So that's four generations right there. And at this point, they are 86 and 89. My mom will be 87. Oh, she just turned 87. So they're 87 and 89. They've been together 68 years. And I think they had an amazing marriage, or still do have an amazing marriage. Um, I never saw them fight or argue. Matter of fact, I only saw my mother, I think, only be angry at my dad one time. And she didn't have words with him. It's just that, well, I mean, you could tell she'd said something, so you knew that she was angry, but there was, no shouting or something. They always seemed to enjoy being around each other and they liked doing things together. Um, I would definitely describe them as like a happy couple. Sometimes we see people like that um, out in society, and we're like, oh, the person, they look so happy. And then you get home and you find out that's not the case. And for them, because I was there all the time, I would say they were definitely a happy couple. And as they age, they are definitely faced with some typical, physical limitations for their age. And my dad's got a form of leukemia, and it's the slow moving kind. And my mom has got some things going on, but my dad is, even though he's been in pain at different times, he's, really going out of his way to help my mom. And I got to tell you this because he would be, if he saw this, he would be angry. If I didn't, he wouldn't be angry, but he'd be disappointed if I didn't mention that he does at least 50 push-ups every day. And I know it's more, it's something like 80 or some number. And so even though he's got some physical stuff going on, he definitely is still as strong as he can be. So
Mm.
a few months ago, I was talking to my father and I said, Dad, thank you so much for taking good care of Mom. And he responded, well, that's what I signed up for. And inside, I was kind of like a little bit like floored because I wasn't expecting that response so quickly, or, I wasn't even expecting it. I just thought, okay, yeah, of course, thank you, whatever. But no. And it was cool because it showed me his commitment to my mother. So that 68 years wasn't just something that happened. It was a commitment that they'd made, to each other. And I know that they've probably had their share of trials. I just can't necessarily, well, I mean, there's a few things I can say that happened where the family had to get through stuff, but I don't know necessarily very much about like what happened between them. And I feel really fortunate because my marriage was really similar in that I got along well with my husband. We had similar ideals and aspirations and beliefs and interests. And what's one of the things that really attracted us together. And, he did become a Presbyterian minister and now he's a UCC minister. And although we're divorced, it's because he came out of the closet. I had such a good relationship with him in a marriage. And I think that's why it was so devastating. But I remember about 3 years when we were living in Hawaii, I had a friend that come up to me and said, like, oh, she wasn't married yet, and she was just, excited about everything. And she was like, oh, isn't it wonderful being married? And I responded, it is wonderful when you marry the right person, because I thought of a lot of people who were not in like enjoyable marriages. And I thought, here I was in one that, really worked really, really well. And so I felt like I was in, the marriage, and I'm still sticking with it. I'm sticking with the story. But as I was thinking about love this last week, I came up with three types of love. And so I'm going to highlight them today. And they're easy love. Let's see if I have it. Yeah, easy love, tough love, and true love. So now you have to look at me for a little bit here. But so easy love. Um, I like to pick words that people think of something else and you say it, right? But easy love is really love that is easy. And it's the kind of love that I think is shared between people who get along and they enjoy each other. Maybe they have a lot in common, they respect each other. Um, you click at work, at church, wherever, and it's just easy to get along. And that I just call that, and it's there's nothing wrong with that. It's love, but it's like love that's easy. And oh my gosh, if we can fill our lives with as much easy love as possible. It's great because I think that really, keeps us moving and going. Um, so it's not, these are people that's not hard to be around. And we all have those, what we call our friends, and not everyone in our family is easy to love, but the ones that maybe are the people that we hang out with a little bit more, right? And that's all I'm going to say about that. And then the second thing I'm going to do is tough love. And I'm not talking about the tough love movement that came out in the 70s and 80s, that was about kind of like certain ways to discipline adolescents who were really struggling. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about love that's tough. See how that is love that's easy. Now we're doing love that's tough. And I simply use the term for love um, when it's tough. And I'm talking about loving others when they are annoying or get on your nerves. They repeat these annoying little habits, right? Like chewing loudly at the dinner table or talking to you every time you sit down to read a book or do some work. Sometimes it's tough when they are disrespectful or thoughtless, uncaring, or dismissive of you, your feelings, or whatever. Or when they do things that hurt, they go out of their way to do things to hurt your feelings. And so, they're doing it on purpose. And I think that I'm going to just use the word real love, even though it's all real love, but I think real love begins when people annoy us, when people hurt us, and they abandon us or neglect us. That is when the real work of love comes in. That's when unconditional love gets tough to do. Oh, yeah, I'll love you no matter what, until you get a little annoying or a lot annoying, or you disrespect me continually. But even more difficult is to share unconditional love with people who do not like, who we do not like, or who do not like us. When we talk about the bigger picture. So it's not even maybe just our own little circle, but there's people out there who are like, I don't even like that person. And that's that whole thing about in the Gospel of Matthew, where Jesus says, I tell you, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute, that you may be children of God in heaven. And we talk about this Advent season, the greatest gift, this gift of baby Jesus, this gift of love, which is the gift of God with us, is the most loving thing. And when we talk about, the life that he lived to show us how to live. But let's just go back to the mere fact of this gift of love, that gift of God present with us, within us. God causes the sun to rise, not just on the blessed, he causes the sun to rise on everyone, evil or good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. His point is that God blesses all people. God's not going, I think I'm going to put, this on this country, or and that whole thing about, God, I love that God blesses America, whatever, but I also want God to bless Ethiopia and God to bless Arabia. It's like God is gonna, you know, the blessings that God has gets to rain down on everyone, no matter who they are and whether we think that they're evil or righteous, right? So, and Jesus continues, he says, if you love those who love you, what reward is that? Really, like, how hard is that? That's not hard. That's not even, I mean, that's like I was just talking, that's easy love. Yeah, woohoo! Love you, babe. We're the besties. But what about loving? And then he uses the thing of idea of tax collectors, because those are the people that are going around taking your money, and they could go up and say, okay, well, you owe this for your taxes, but oh yeah, by the way, and they would add tax onto it that they put in their pockets. So they were deceptive and they were crooked, and so people didn't like them. And you're saying like, well, even tax collectors love the people that they're close to. So if you only greet the people that are your people, hey, that's good, great. But what about, and they're just saying, and they use the word atheist here or pagan, but it's just the idea that that's different from you, somebody that doesn't see. So it's like you go to work and you say hi to the people you really like, but why can't you go and say hi to everybody? You're down the you're walking down the street even, and people are saying, you find yourself saying hi. I'm a person that says hi. People like, I say hi, and they're like, oh, she's talking to me. But I do to everybody, and the point is that reaching out, I'm not trying to stick in my circle. And, just little things that we can do that help us reach out and go beyond. The real idea is that we're being called to extend the hand of love, this unconditional love. And again, unconditional love is something that's not deserving. And it's something's happened. There's an error that we're looking at, and we're saying, no, I'm still going to extend love to you. It's not based on a person's character or their worth or the things that they've done, accomplishments, right? So I think we live right now in such a society that's really, really separating, and we're putting these people back into certain categories, and it's going to be them versus us. And we really, our society is really going to benefit if we can turn that around and say, I really need to extend the hand of love to my enemies, or in other words, to people that I am not in tune with, or that really is different from me in terms of their beliefs and what they stand for. So I want to read a version of First Corinthians 13. It's from the ARV, which is the Akana Revised Version. And it's just a few little bits of Corinthians, but I feel like it kind of fits. Like sometimes I love, the poetic part of it, but I'm ripping the poetic part out of First Corinthians 13 here. And this is how it goes. When you have to wait 30 minutes for your bestie every time you get together, you feel annoyed by the inconsiderate behavior and want to show up 60 minutes late to teach her a lesson. But you don't, because love is patient. And with that, I'm actually going to share, because I realize I put this on slides for us. So I'm going to pull the slides back up. See, right there. But you don't, because love is patient. When a colleague bites your head off at work for no apparent reason, and you want to snap back and put them in their place, but you don't, because love is kind. When your best friend gets all the attention because she is more beautiful than you begin to feel small and want to end your friendship, but you don't, because love does not envy. When you win the election by a landslide because of how you ran your campaign, you want to shout to the world that you were right, but you don't, because love does not boast. When your mean, angry neighbor gets a large crack in his windshield from a passing bicyclist, a bicycle that goes by, you want to say something about karma, but you don't, because love does not dishonor others. And when your partner keeps forgetting to clean up after themselves, you want to throw out a snide comment from under your breath, of course, but you don't, because love is not easily angered. And the last one, when your adult child doesn't include you in family gatherings, you feel snubbed and want to make them pay for the harm, but you don't, because love keeps no record of wrongs. Love always protects the rights of others. Love always trusts people to be their best selves. Love always hopes for the best for all people. And love always perseveres even when it's hard to keep going. I should probably publish that translation. I'm just kidding. But I liked the idea of like making it more practical. Like what does that really mean? Because it's such beautiful words, but to actually like look at what it really means. And just remember, John, and then again in John, it just talks about, by this, everyone will know that you are God's disciples if you have love for one another. Because tough love is real love. It is the down in the trenches love. It is the love that truly matters because it is hard. But it is the thing that brings healing. It is the thing that brings us together. It is the thing that brings unity among people. So the third kind of love I want to look at is what I call true love. And it isn't the act of being in love, because I want you to think that, like, I'm in love forever. I will love you forever. I'm just going to say it's the most difficult, but the most valuable act of love. And that is, I think, forgiveness. Now, aside from laying down your life, like Jesus said, the greatest love is to lay down your life for someone else. That's not something we can usually do, but I can see that laying down, forgiving is a form of laying down your life. And I believe it's the greatest act of love. And so in my book, I'm going to call it true love. Now, forgiveness, I'm not going to get a lot into. I just want to touch on one thing that I think is really, really key is because it's a complicated topic. And there are great books out there. And I bet most people, if not all, struggle with forgiveness on some side of some at some point. If we're honest, it's probably often, but doesn't mean it always has to be a big thing. It can be little things, right? But who's really hurt us when someone hurts us, when they betray us or dismiss us, ignore us or neglect us? They hurt us physically or sexually, demean us. I mean, those are things that happen to all of us, right? And how do you work yourself through it? So I want to look at one aspect of forgiveness a little more closely. And to do that, I'm going to go back to Brene Brown, who I referenced last week in her book, Rising Strong, because she was working on forgiveness, the concept of forgiveness. And there was like something she felt like she was missing. And it was when she heard a friend say, he was talking to other people, and he said, in order for I'm just gonna read what he said. In order for forgiveness to happen, something has to die. If you make a choice to forgive, you have to face into the pain. You simply have to hurt. And of course, this whole book of Rising Strong is when you're knocked down or you're harmed, how do you rise back up? And so just this point was just like, oh, right on for her, that it's like this thing of like to be able to forgive someone, it's not stuffing stuff and then just moving on. No, it really is looking at the pain, looking at the harm, acknowledging it and being present with it, and then moving through it. And something may have to die. And examples um, of things that would have to die might be your expectations, your dreams, your power, the fact that you think, oh, I got to be right, right? Or your myths that are out there, your beliefs, which is also, your ideas and thoughts, that whole thing, shame, different things. What has to die that you're holding on to, in terms of that you can't forgive? Because that really comes down to it. It's like, I've been wronged and I just can't forgive this person. Or we can say, yeah, I can forgive them. But we really aren't doing the work of forgiveness. And so her thing is like, no, that's the key. And so that's why I'm bringing it up is the key to forgiveness is really, looking at the pain. And I realize Advent is a wonderful season. We're getting prepared for the gift of God. And yet at the same time, if we're asking to love, we're not asking just to feel good. We're asking to do the real work of love, which is that reaching out to others and forgiving others that have harmed us, whether it's unintentionally or intentionally. But the beauty of doing that, and Brene gives a variety of reasons, is that you come out the other side a better person. You're no longer, and this is not new here, but you're no longer consumed by anger and hatred. And if you've really had something difficult in your life and you've worked your way through it, you know that when you get to the other side, you're like, oh my gosh, this is where I want to be. Because that holding on to something, it does hurt us. It does hurt yourself. And it hurts the relationship you have. I don't know, it doesn't necessarily hurt the other person, but it does hurt your relationship and it hurts your community because of something maybe you're holding against one person in your community does hurt your whole community. So it hurts you, it hurts your relationship with that person, and it hurts your whole community. So to forgive is to heal all of that. And the part that I think that also that I really like here that I'm kind of going to close with is that you move out of the victim state. And you start to take responsibility for yourself and your decisions and your life. You're not trapped by this action that happened to you. You're not chained to this perpetrator anymore. And when you hate somebody so much and you think about them all the time, and there are certain political figures I I don't think about because I don't want to be attached to them. And there is a conscientious decision that I'm making to say, I'm going to release this. I am going to continue to say, pray love in that direction. Um, we know prayer is powerful. I don't know if we were all praying that and sending love to people that we found ourselves despising instead of despising and then, oh my gosh, look at what they did now. Look at what they did now. It's like looking and saying, hey, I'm going to send love, two thumbs up. I'm sending love your way. I'm going to work on forgiving the actions that you take that hurt people or that hurt me, personally. And by doing that, you move forward or you rise strong, like she says in her book. So the greatest act of love I think that you can give anyone is the act of forgiveness, but it's also the greatest gift that you can give yourself. And that's when the renewal happens. Now, it doesn't, and we all know that doesn't mean you have to go back into that relationship, whatever it is, or you have to continue it, but it's the work that you can do, right? It doesn't mean you have to go be best pals. Sometimes you got to do that with your best pals so you can continue. And I think in this world right now, there's so much pain and resentment that I think forgiveness right now is paramount to building healthier relationships, healthier communities, and healthier countries. The answer is in love. The answer is in forgiveness. And that is hard work. I'm exhausted just thinking about it. Where can you lay, like, what pain do you need to lay to rest? Which fear do you have that you can lay to rest? What kind of baggage needs to be tossed out? What prejudices can you slay? Expectations or demands that need to become the norm and not the expectations and not the exceptions, right? So Brene writes about how she decided to let her idealized version of her parents go in order for her to heal. And so I'm actually going to do my own story because that I read it. I'm like, oh, that's happened to me too. So I'm going to close with this story, though, about my parents that I just told you had a wonderful relationship. But I'm going to tell you this. I struggled probably through my teenage years and into my college years and young adult years. I struggled with my relationship with them. They were very good parents. It had nothing to do with it, but there was something that wasn't aligning with who they were with what I wanted. I always wanted to visit. I wanted to go home on holidays and summer breaks and things like that. But every time I returned to wherever I always felt let down after most of the visits and stuff. And I was seeing a therapist trying to work all this through. And one time she said to me, and she said, you're going home expecting this and you get this. So the next time you go home and you expect this and you get this. And so I wrestled with that for a while and I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know if I like it because I had to like look at this and say, I have to give this up. I have to let this die, this expectation or whatever it is that I wanted. And when I was able to do that and said, when I went home and I expected this, you know what I got? This. And it was a beautiful experience. All of a sudden, I enjoyed my time with my parents. And I'm like, it's like all of a sudden I'm expecting them to be who they really are and parents that they are instead of like something that I wanted them to be, whatever it was that I was making up to be that. And I had to start taking responsibility for me because I think what I wanted them is to care for me in certain ways that, well, you know what? I have to start taking care of myself. Shoot, that's a hard lesson. Sometimes we want to, can I still come home and do my laundry? Or can I come home and you do my laundry? Whatever it is that you're doing. But I let that die and I came in expecting this. But not only that, I began to examine myself and say, okay, now what can I contribute to the relationship that I haven't contributed to before? To this, instead of trying to contribute and make this happen, I'm contributing to this. What can I contribute? And so I came up with some things and I came home and visited and I contributed stuff that I hadn't. And you know what? Oh my gosh, this became this. I mean, it transformed. I don't know. I wasn't trying to get over here anymore, and it wasn't moving that way. It just blossomed. It got bigger, and it was more fun and more exciting. And I loved being at home. And the responses that I got back from them, I'm like, wow, this was authentic. Because I could let my expectations die and I could come in and say, what is real? And by letting that die, I was able to like forgive them for not being able to be the people I wanted them to be. And I could embrace the people they really were and go, well, look at kind of relationship I can have with these people. This is really cool. And so that's what happened with that. And that's the same kind of thing that can happen in churches, in communities, and, as people working together, and it doesn't just happen. People have to be intentional about it. That is for sure. So I want to show a music video. So I'm going to share that. It's called A Heart That Forgives. So I want to make sure that somebody needs to say something if you can't hear.
I want a heart that forgives, heart full of love, one with compassion, just like yours above, one that overcomes evil, goodness and love, like it never happened. Never holding a grudge. Want a heart that forgives, lives and lets live. One that keeps loving over and over again. One that men can offend because your word is within. One that loves without price like you, Lord Jesus Christ. Want a heart that loves everybody, even my enemies. Wanna love like you, be like you, just like you did. Want a heart that forgives. We're the ones that are closest, that I've known the longest, hurt me the most. Still wanna love them just like you love me, even though I'm hurting. I want a heart that forgives. Pain is so deep, it's so hard to speak about it to anyone. Just like your son, I give up my right to hold it against them with hatred inside. Want a heart that loves everybody, even my enemies. Wanna love like and be like and just like you did. Wanna walk like it's all love, just like you did. Wanna be like and live like just like you did. 'Cause a heart that forgives is the heart that lives. Totally free from the pain of the past. And the heart that lets go is the heart that will know so much freedom. Lord, I want to let it go. God, I need to let it go. Lord, it's been holding me back. And I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it no more. I don't know exactly what to do to get rid of it, but here I am, Lord Jesus. Here I am, oh, here I am, Lord Jesus. Oh, Lord, I need you, I need you. I know this is me that you're talking to. This is me, this is me, this is me. Lord, this is me. That's ever hurt me. Gotta let it go. Every single heart. Gotta let it go. Every single pain. Gotta let it go. Let it go. Lord, you can have. Lord, you can have. Lord, you can have. Lord, you can have. You can have it now. You can have it now. I don't want it no more.
We're going to move into a time of meditation. So get yourself comfortable. And just breathe in deeply and breathe out. Make sure you take deep breaths in and slowly breathe back out. Be very aware of your breath and the life that it brings in and the life that comes out. It's a gift when we breathe. We are one with nature. We provide what they need and they provide what we need. So life is coming in and life is going out. So I asked the question, what has to end or die so you can experience a rebirth in your relationships? And I want you just to think about one thing, one person that you want to work on forgiving. When you leave here today, it doesn't mean that that's going to happen because it's a process. But what is one person that you want to work on forgiving? Someone who has brought harm to you, has hurt you, and whether it's intentional or unintentional, it doesn't matter. But pick something that's significant to you. What is it that has to end or die? And just want you to reflect a little bit on what that might be in terms of, is it an expectation? Is it a dream, aspiration that you have? Some kind of power for yourself or over someone else? Do you have to be right? Can you give that up? Are you holding on to lies or myths? Even firmly to some beliefs that you're just sure that's what it is? Shame. Just identify something that you need to let go. Just see yourself releasing it. Be dropping it like she dropped the flower on the grave. You can release it. Put your hands up and release it into the air to be blown away. How do you want to release it? Release it though. visualize it moving away and you releasing it. Now I want you to think about the person that you're struggling with and what kind of idealized version of that person do you need to let go? You want them to be, but they're not that. Can you let that go? And then what act, third part of this and the last part is what act do you need or action do you need to take to be responsible for yourself in this relationship? If you didn't answer all the questions, just remember that you're looking at what needs to die? What idealized version do you have of that person that you need to let go? And the third thing is what responsibility do you want to take for yourself? And when you're ready, come on back. We're going to close out the service. And I just want to repeat the verse in John that says, by this, everyone will know that you are God's disciples if you have love for one another. And people will know that you are God. You are God's love. You are love because you love one another. It's because of what you do and how you act, how you hold your arms open, that people know that you are love. And so it is. Amen. Thank you, everyone, for being here today, for participating. And